You're at a job interview. You get the "what is your biggest weakness" question. What is your answer? Confidence. Need to stop second guessing myself and realize that I'm good. My boss recently told me I don't have anything to prove to them, and I already have his respect and trust. It meant so much to hear that. This is really a very cool thing for your boss to say and very good for you. You have clearly worked hard to earn the respect you have. I am not sure that this is the same thing as the interview answer above though. Your bosses know you. They know your strengths and your weaknesses and are very happy with you. It does not mean that you should not be introspective and determine how best to make yourself the best you can be. None of us are perfect, but knowing you are appreciated by those whose opinion matters is very important. Terrified at public speaking is usually the one I go with. It's fairly relatable but easy to brush off by saying I get past it through practice. It also has the benefit of being true. It's socially acceptable to be bad at public speaking. You don't do it enough. Best answer IMO edit. I mean actually public speaking, not group meetings, not being a teacher act. Microphone speaking. Yes, some jobs this is a bad idea. I'm not good at something I don't have experience in. Majority of people do not have experience public speaking in front of a crowd. If you apply to team leader jobs or other jobs where it will be necessary to hold meetings or talk at meetings about the work you do, I could definitely see this answer disqualify you. I usually approach it honestly. I'm super hard on myself to the point that it can be counterproductive. So I typically don't need a lot of coaching when I fuck up, but I need to be reminded to move on. Up. I work with a company who loved that about me. Then 3 years into training they decided to switch gears into quantity over quality, and it's really fucked me up. What industry are you in? Did the change come because of new management or something? Long story short, they took on a few new outlets of making money before they had the A equipment, B knowledge, C workforce. It's a very atypical landscaping company. In reality it's high-end landscape design and shrub plant tree maintenance. Our bread and butter customers are extremely wealthy and very particular. They expect to be catered to, and that's how I was trained, and that's what the company was pitched to me as. Cause that's how it has run since 1996. There's honestly a million things I could write here. Doesn't really matter too much since I'm planning on starting my own business in the next 3-5 years. Honest answer followed by how you're improving. I tend to procrastinate, but I keep that at bay by sticking to a to-do list, etc. My last job had very vague to-do lists. They were pretty much the same thing every shift. Stock X department, check dates, rotate stock, fill balloon corral, etc. So in an interview I just used that as an example for staying on task. Then they hit me with, well, how do you make sure you do things on your list? My dumb boss was like, I'm not really sure what you're asking. I just do it. They want a simple answer. Something like I have the list written down in a folder, and I check it at the start of the day, and cross off a task when it's done. Then at the end of the day when I sign out, clock out, I check the list, and if anything isn't crossed I double check it was done before leaving. In short, they just want you to say you cross things off a list. This might only be applicable to someone newly out of college or applying for entry-level jobs, but I had a professor tell me to say lack of experience. If you're applying for an intro-level job, it's expected. It's a weakness that's not really your fault, and you can spin it as a reason you should get the job. Actually, this could be applicable to every job that doesn't fit anything you did before. For example, as a programmer, I might have 5 years experience, but I never worked on Framework X or with Language Y. I once said in an interview I can do anything. I just haven't gotten around to learning it yet. My answer to that question at the local ice cream parlor was my biggest weakness is chocolate. I got the job and a free scoop of chocolate ice cream every day I worked there. Edit. Thanks for the award. My old roommate tried that for a desk job once. She said the interviewer gave her a blank stare, quietly wrote something down, then continued with the interview. She didn't get the job. I'm terrible at interviews got me my job. I'm going to try that, but I feel like they'd say haha no, but seriously though. Then you say, I am serious, and stare at him with a blank expression in dead silence, thus proving your claim. The year is 2015 and I'm interviewing for my first job at an unnamed game studio. I'm super nervous. I did the pre-interview tests and they liked them. And I get the question. I get really nervous and I talk a lot and ramble. It's pretty much word vomit until my brain catches up with my mouth until I catch up with what I just said. And most of the time I can't really remember the question. It got a lot of laughs in the room, but I really couldn't remember at the time what the director just asked me. Did they ever name the game studio? Untitled Game Studio. You might have heard of their Goose Game. I sing in the shower. Sometimes I spend too much time volunteering. Occasionally I'll hit somebody with my car. Meanwhile you are fighting for the cure of the bat disease. I ate more fettuccine alfredo and drank less water than I have in my entire life. Hand them a quality business card that says I over-prepare. That says you work at the place you're applying to. At a board interview, they asked me this. I told them my biggest weakness is one that I'm conquering right now: fear to take chances and risk failure. But I'm taking a huge chance today and refusing to let myself consider failure. I got the job. Me. I can be very vague. Interviewer. Care to elaborate? Me. Yeah. Interviewer. What is your greatest weakness? Me. Answering the semantics of a question while ignoring the pragmatics provided by the context. Interviewer. Interesting. Could you give me an example? Me. Yes. For the linguistic use of the word pragmatics, I award you a dote. Edit. I see. I see. Lots of the saucer fans. My usual go-to is that I have had difficulty with taking criticisms personally, especially against me when in a leadership role. I then follow up with talking about how I'm working on it and feel I've improved as I've taken on roles with more responsibility. It is an annoying question, but if you can find something to talk about honestly, and also explain how you are working to improve it, you're golden. I have difficulty taking criticisms personally. Sounds like something you might want to work on. You know what? Fuck you. Well, I'd say my weakness is the cause of me getting fired from my last 8 jobs. I bring in too many turtles apparently. I don't know how many the right amount of turtles is because I've brought anywhere from 50 up to 300. It seems unreasonable to bring less than 50, so I just don't get it. I would be honest during my interview about how many turtles I plan to bring to work with me and let loose in the facility, but they never ask, what about you guys? How many turtles do you guys bring to not get fired? Up to 300 honestly. I think the problem is you're not bringing in enough turtles. My last boss told me that I'm condescending and that it's a huge area I need to work on. That means I talk down to people. It's a version of a Bob Newhart joke. I don't like country music, but I don't mean to denigrate those who do. And for the people who like country music, denigrate means put down. Interviewer. What is your biggest weakness? Me. I have no weakness. No vulnerability. I am the all. No man can best me. No woman can resist me. My power is absolute. I am what the night fears and the sun flees each day. To look upon me is to know your inevitable demise. At the end of time I will cry tears of burning oil and open my 1,000 mouths and herald the end of all that is. When nothing is left I will lord over the darkness and ash of all that was and all that will be. That you would imply that I am not everything that encompasses the reality you can see, and the realities behind the veils of your sanity tells me that you will be the first to be consumed in the blood and shadows that hide behind this world. Look upon my true form and know death. But if I had to pick, I'd say that I have some difficulty with adding pictures to a Word document. Interviewer. Now just a soul bound to the blasted and charred skeleton and existing on the line between life and death. And in eternal agony. I think that's all the questions I have. We'll let you know when we've made a decision. Me. Wonderful. I'll look forward to hearing from you. After reviewing your application, we found that your inability to comfortably add pictures to a Word document is deemed unfit for the job and hence you're not hired. The obvious ones are those. I'm a perfectionist, I suppose. It's one of my biggest weaknesses. But they are so cheesy and BS. The best is just being honest. My biggest weakness? I'm a fat mofo, and if anyone leaves food on my desk, it's getting eaten, no questions asked. Edit. I realize perfectionism is an actual weakness, but men fresh off the boat graduates think it's a really good line in a job interview and have sadly ruined this for actual perfectionists. This is my point. I used this in a job interview before I knew that it's a cliche response, but it seemed to go over well. Maybe because I genuinely meant it. It was for a bookstore job, and I explained that if I'm supposed to just straighten a section but I notice that it's not alphabetized, there are books from a different section there, etc. I'm going to have a hard time just straightening the books visually and moving on. I'll want to put them in the proper spots, dust, etc. Which is a real problem when time is of the essence. I did get the job, though, and one of my favorite tasks was zone maintenance, scanning each item, straightening, dusting, making sure the signs and shelf labels were accurate. It was very satisfying. Plus I got to see our products and get gift ideas. Thank you for watching and listening to my channel. Feel free to drop a comment and be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification button for the latest video I publish every day. See you on the next video, very Reddit fans.